in the summer of 75, my girlfriend and I took a trip to Los Angeles, California. Once we got to the border of Mexico, we went ahead and entered Tijuana. It was a really diminished city, very poor people all around. And it was the first time my girlfriend had ever visited. But I'm from Mexico. My family lives there, so I'd been there many times. With the community being so poor, there would be a lot of children that would come up to you and ask for money, and I would give them small donations. Went and shopped for clothes, got some food. Everything there was very cheap. Once we were good, my girlfriend decided that we were done and that we were going to head on back. But you always, whenever you go through the border, going back into the United States, they are very strict. They look at things much more closely than going into Mexico. I actually got escorted over to the side where they wanted to take a better look at the belongings that I had. They checked out my ID and then went ahead and sent me on through. Or my girlfriend, rather. Then they asked for my ID, and my girlfriend and I only provided our Gallaudet IDs. And they compared the two of them, and then they tried speaking to me, but I had to tell them that I was deaf, so I needed to write on pen and paper. The man at the customs gate was very strict about it. He only wanted to speak. So he went ahead and sent me over to another area. My girlfriend had already gone through the border, but I was having to wait behind the scenes. Next, a woman came up to me, looked at all my information, looked at me, and then looked at my information again. She spoke just like the guy before, and I had to explain to her that I was deaf and I needed someone to write something. She was adamant about speaking again, until eventually I was able to get the woman to bring over a piece of paper. They asked me where I was born at, which I told them Los Angeles, California. And then they asked me why I was coming here, which I explained I was here to visit with my girlfriend and look around Tijuana. They told me that I was sorry they told me that they were sorry, but I'm not able to pass the border. I was terrified. I had to try to negotiate and argue with them for a long time, but they were stubborn as a mule. I kept trying to communicate with them and tell them, what am I supposed to do? My girlfriend's over there. My parents are over there. My car is in the United States. There was no way to communicate with anyone, letting them know that I was stuck in Mexico. And I had very little money, and I didn't know how to contact my parents or get an interpreter. You know, it just was kind of out of luck. I tried to take a step back and think about things for a little bit, but I knew I was not going to give up. I said that I'm from California. I went to Gallaudet University in Washington, D.C., and that all these things should prove that. The woman eventually looked at me again with a strange look and eventually complied and said that I could go ahead and cross the border. My God, my heart was racing. I gave my girlfriend a big hug, and I decided I will never go back again. You know, I mean, I will, try and figure out something so I can visit my parents and everything like that. But once a new law was passed, it's really important to get a certificate showing that you are good to go to Mexico and can come back. So around Christmas, my girlfriend and I decided we were going to go back to Mexico now. And again, I'm thinking in the back of my mind, need to be careful. And I explained the situation to my girlfriend a little bit. So we'll see what happens this time. So once we were going back to the U.S., my girlfriend, who is white, showed her ID, and they let her through, no problem. And I was ready. I had my driver's license, I had my Gallaudet University ID, and I had that special certificate that said a seal on it that had a warranty showing that there should be no problem for me getting into the United States. Customs looked at it, looked up at me, looked at the documentation again, and it took forever. I was so nervous. They kept glancing at everything back and forth. Eventually gave it back to me and told me I could go on through. Oh my gosh. You know, I know that I do look very like I would be from Mexico, but I mean, that should not really matter.